Hello, we are presenting against the slow drive-through ban. The municipal code banning drive-through was enacted in 1982 for several reasons. The code states the zoning regulations are intended to guide the development of the city in an orderly manner, implementing the policies of the general plan, protect and enhance the quality of the natural and built environment, to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare. The code states that drive-throughs are prohibited in all of the San Luis Obispo zones. In an article written by NPR, they say that cities are turning to these codes to create a healthier food environment and to help curb obesity. In the same article, they say that most bans focus on curbing emissions, reducing litter, improving pedestrian safety, and enhancing walkability. There are several reasons why this municipal code should be abolished. First off, the convenience of drive-throughs is unmatched relative to the alternatives. Drive-throughs limit the amount of germs that can be spread while dining. The code is outdated and environmental concerns are becoming negligent. And lastly, there's always been political controversy regarding this code. We'll discuss these aspects in the next slides.
First, the COVID transmission. In a study by the Journal of Korean Medicine, they found that inside dining was one of the riskiest places for COVID transmission in the pandemic, where one diner was infected by someone as far away as 21 feet. Additionally, the CDC found that counties with indoor dining had higher transmission rates, 3% higher death rates, and the counties without indoor dining have had decreasing case rates for the past couple weeks at 1.8% per week. Masks are also off for the duration of the sitting, and most restaurants do not have adequate space between tables, which leaves dangerous working conditions for restaurant workers such as the waiters who have to interact with customers. The drive-thrus can help stop the spread of COVID because they limit the time of interaction between the staff and the customers. They also offer an option for people who still don't feel safe going in restaurants. The average drive-thru lasts 350 seconds, with less than 10% of those spent face-to-face with the workers. And the CDC has found that the risk of COVID infection increases exponentially after the first minute face-to-face. This shortened time will leave workers a lot less likely to be infected by their customers. Additionally, in terms of convenience, the added convenience of not leaving the car can attract more customers directly from the freeway or just people who don't feel like getting out of their cars, which could in turn increase the business in the city of San Luis Obispo.
One of the major benefits by nature of banning drive-thrus is that more attraction will flow towards other businesses, particularly direct substitutes like places that serve food. So this is important because it kind of changes the way that the population spends their time. Instead of going to drive-thrus, they're going to certain areas that have replaced these drive-thrus, right? So one of these places is Mother's Tavern, run by Paul Brown, who is actually on the committee that approved the drive-thru ban. Now, this poses an issue because it creates sort of a conflict of interest. Should Mr. Brown be voting on a measure that directly affects his own business and effectively wipes out his competition? It's food for thought, and I think at the end we decided that it's unfair for Mr. Brown to vote on such a measure because he stands to directly monetarily benefit.
Proponents of the drive-thru ban cites three main reasons for their position. They are that drive-thrus cause increased carbon emissions, that drive-thrus cause traffic congestions, and that they lead to obesity and other health issues. While the argument that drive-thrus cause carbon emissions from idling vehicles might have made sense when the law against them was passed back in 1982, modern vehicles release far less carbon dioxide than older models. Standard cars have more efficient engines, allowing them to idle at lower speeds. Many cars are equipped with automatic engine shutoffs, so they don't emit any carbon when they're waiting in line. And electric or hydrogen-powered vehicles never emit carbon dioxide, even if they're crawling forward, for instance, at a drive-thru. Opponents of drive-thrus claim that they cause increased traffic when the lines of cars back up into public roadways. While drive-thrus might cause more total traffic, that's just based on them being an incredibly efficient business because they actually take less time per customer and therefore have a higher throughput of cars. It obviously takes far less time to get an order of food from a drive-thru window than it does to park, sit down, order food, wait for it to be cooked, eat the food, and then leave. The last attack on drive-thrus often comes from a very cruel or cynical point that attacks some personal failing of Americans as obese or greedy, and it really doesn't hold any water at all. The idea that people are only fat because drive-thrus are convenient has been thoroughly debunked by all sorts of academic inquiries into the nature of the American obesity epidemic or nutrition as a whole. So this argument just simply isn't scientific and doesn't even warrant a response.